Good day, hi, and welcome. How do you make money live? Playing guitar, bass, or drums, or whatever? Well, there's a couple of philosophies here that I'm going to go through. Band versus the one-man band. Full band versus one-man band. You can make money at both. Now, this is going to sound funny, but where you make money is usually not in the city as much. You can, if you can get gigs easy in the city because there's tons of places. But the problem is that it's easy for bars to get live entertainment in the city anytime they want for free. A lot of times people will play for free, and I'll do a video on playing for free. But then when you get a little bit to the outskirts or smaller venues or whatever, sometimes they can pay very well. You wouldn't think about it. And other places you can play other than bars. Sometimes you can play halls, events. You can play dances. You can play just about anywhere. But sometimes, like say during like carnivals or summer break or whatever, or just maybe there's a tractor pull or mud run or something like that. You can play places like that too. Weddings are another option. Weddings are a different thing though. Weddings because if you want to play weddings all the time, you usually got to travel quite a bit because there's not usually weddings going on every weekend in your area. Like sometimes there is, depending on how big your area is. But that's another place. The other thing is book a hall. You do like what Kiss did was they booked halls and sold tickets. Playing for the door versus getting paid by the bar versus pay to play. Those things, depending on where you are. Like, for example, I remember years ago in Los Angeles, it's probably still the same. It was pay to play. So you want to play a bar, you'd basically have to sell tickets and say, yeah, we'll book you, but you're going to sell the tickets, and you make the money off the sales of the tickets. So it was kind of, you paid the bar to play, but if you could sell enough tickets, you could make money at it. So to me, it was a bit of a scam. But some places play extremely well, and the best way to find out is just go into every bar and, hey, do you guys book live bands, and do you pay, and what kind of money do you pay? And you're going to get a mixed reaction from different bar owners. There's going to be bar owners who say, yes, we play, but we only take in original music, or we only take in top 40, or whatever it is going to be. We only take in country bands. Right now, country bands is the place to be around here. It just seems like they can't get enough country bands, good country bands, like country rock, we'll say, kind of the country rock stuff. And a lot of country bands around here are really more like light rock from the 90s. So, if you want an easy gig, there you go, and you throw in a few country tunes. The other thing is that some places actually, like for example, if you play like Irish music, Irish pubs are great for getting bands a lot of times. But now you're into traditionalism and stuff like that, and you got to be able to do that. But you could also get other places. There's punk bars and stuff like that. There's all kinds of places you can play. So whatever venue you could think of, you can play. But what if you wanted to play, but not in a band? You're a guitar player and you just can't seem to find a band. Well, pick up the acoustic. Now, don't just pick up the steel string. Make sure you get yourself a classical as well. You would be surprised how many venues you can play with a classical guitar. You'd be just blown away. Restaurants, bistros type stuff like that, where it's really low key. You go in, you play for 3 hours. You don't sing. You're just background noise for the music. So you play your Malaguena for about 2 hours or whatever, and you can do that. Other things is traditional folk music. There's usually a lot of little taverns and stuff like that, or cafes that will sometimes have that kind of stuff. Seek out your jam night areas. Usually where there's a jam night, there's a gig to be had, and sometimes good paying gigs. Blues is usually easy to find, blues venues. Country western stuff, if you can pull off like big name country band stuff, they pay crazy well. But you might be able to book a gig like twice a year at best, because the competition is going to be extremely stiff, right? And those are kind of one kick at the can. If you blow it, you're never going to play at that venue again. Then other venues, which are a little more relaxed, where they'll take a little bit of everything, they could pay anywhere from $100 a night, $60 a night. Okay, not worth your time for most people, especially if it's a full 5-piece band. Some places will play $175 a night, or maybe $300 a night, maybe $600 a night. Starts to get a little bit interesting. Some places will play $1,500 to $3,500 a night. But those places are really hard to get. I know of places like this, and they're really hard to get. But some of these places, for example, you go, the bar owner owns 5 other bars. And, okay, you can't get in here, but he needs somebody over there. Go introduce yourself, go into the bar. Some people say, well, what do you play? Do you have a sample of your music? Here's where the one-man band really shines. If if you want to make some money. There's a couple of ways to do it. Like, the last time I played live, I made $120, I think, with that guitar. I got paid $60 from the bar, and the bar was just down the street. Now it's closed, but it's not there anymore. But and I had what they say, play for the hat, where people would throw in a 5, some would throw in a 20, most people throw in their change, whatever. So, next thing you know, you got $120. 3 hours work, close to home. Not so bad. That's not so bad, right? So there is gigs to be had, and there is money to be made, but what you have to do is you have to go, the gigs aren't going to come to you. You got to go to them. So one of the things you're going to have to do is definitely test the waters. The other thing too is talk to other musicians, because some places, they play live, but the guy always cheats you, or at the end of the night it's like the guy that's supposed to pay you is never around. Oh, and then you whatever. Find out reputations of place before you play them. Some people want to play places that are really extravagant, but sometimes these extravagant places, because they have so much choice of people to play, that they never pay. They're just, it's like, no, we can get anybody for free. We don't need you. You know what I mean? Anybody can make noise on that stage, so we're not worried about you. But other places that really want good quality music, obviously you have to fit the bill. The best thing to get a gig is to get your next gig is your previous gig. Maybe it's not in the same place, but that word goes around because bar owners know each other. And not only bar owners, but other venues, they tend to know each other. And they'll make recommendations. Well, hey, why don't you try this guy? They're always looking for somebody over there. They can never get anybody out that way, and they pay good. When we played out of town years ago, we always made better money because they couldn't get people out of, everybody wanted to stay in the city and play in the city. But we'd have to travel an hour there and 2 hours there, whatever. So we'd say, well, yeah, but we got to travel, we got this. So, okay, well, $75 for each person in the band, or $100 for each person. And then we take 25, we put it in gas and whatever. Sometimes they'd put you up for the night, some whatever. So there's all kinds of deals that you can do. So on the easy side, the easiest is the one-man band thing, because a lot of places where you play a one-man band, you don't need a lot of volume. So the other thing is look for places that already have their own PA. That's the big one. If they don't have a PA, they don't have nothing, unless you have that yourself. You're looking at more work if you have to lug that stuff in yourself. But if they have that, you just show up with your mic and your guitar, or heck, probably they already have their own mic. You just show up with your guitar. Some places will even have a house guitar, and you just show up and you play. But yeah, shop around. It's the band is always going to make the least, because you have to share amongst. If you're a 3-piece band, you might do okay if you get $300 for the night. It's $100 each. Might be worth your time, might not be. Depending, if you have to drive 5 hours to get there, probably not worth your time. But that gets into the pro bono stuff, where you're doing it because you're trying to get your name out there or whatever. And I have mixed emotions about that because of trying that from years ago. But anyway, yeah, there's lots of great things to do. To me, I'm moving back towards the one-man band thing. It's just, At my age, when you're in your early 20s or you're a teenager or whatever, it's easy to find people that have all the time in the world to jam. But when you get a little bit older, nobody has. Either you live too far from each other, or everybody's working and they got to work the next day, or whatever. So you can't get away with it like you can with the one-man band. So the one-man band thing, there's a lot to be milked out of that one. Number one, you're the only person on stage. Number two, you control the entire show. Number three, you got one instrument or maybe two to bring with you, and then you don't have to divide the money with anybody else. So that's just a thought. But anyway, yeah, getting the gig is usually walking into a place and just asking, hey, do you guys, do live bands here? Some places are a little bit funny because they don't want to outright tell you, yeah, we do get people. Sometimes they might want to, you can bring your acoustic with you or whatever if you're going to do the one-man band thing. Just say, here, I'll give you a little demo of what I can do. Just sit in a chair, play, and they'll just say yes or no. And because then they get an idea of what what they're up against. Some places, and you ask them, well, if they say, yeah, we do get bands, but some places you get a mixed audience where half the audience wants country western, the other half wants rock and roll. And some places like, okay, yeah, you can play here, but you got to bring your own crowd. And you have to have, like, say, 25 people or more to make it worth their while, because you're going to chase away half their other customers, right? So there's things like that you might come up against, and you just work with whatever you got to work with. But if you play it right, you can usually keep everybody happy. The people that like rock and roll will usually be okay with the people that like country if you hit the middle ground of kind of, well, you know what I'm talking about. You got a set list that, a lot of top 40 stuff there that everybody seems to like. It's not as cut and dry as you think, unless you got like people that are hardcore country western and people that are hardcore rock and roll. Then yeah. But I've yet to go into a place that people are so hardcore that they won't listen to the music if it's not the people are pretty easygoing. They're more happy just to have the entertainment. So all I can say is go into places when you're ready to do so, and talk to some bar owners, whatever, see what they say. See if you can set something up. The best thing to do is start with the places probably that have their own PAs, like that do jam nights and stuff like that. Because when they do a jam night, they really get to test you out too, and you get to find out whether it's going to be worth your time or not. Because if you go up and you do really well, usually the staff will notice, say, hey, that guy was really good. Maybe we should get him for a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night, or whatever it might be. Maybe you might get a weekend deal. One place they wanted me to play, they say, oh yeah, we do, but you play 3 hours in the afternoon, then 3 hours again at night. So it's like a 6-hour gig for like $200 or something. I'm like, 6 hours for $200, nah. Like some people really, really milk it, right? So it's like, no, a 3-hour gig is plenty. But some people want you to play like three times a day. It's like, okay, well, that's, I get what they're getting at too, but it's not practical. You won't make any money on that. That makes an extremely long day. I mean, this is not a job that it's not an orthodox job. It's not something that you can just do for 9 hours a day, and still have a voice at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Maybe if you're doing really light stuff, sure. But even at that, your fingers are going to get pretty sore by playing for 6. Don't get me wrong. I've done many 12-hour jams with bands and stuff like that, practicing and stuff like that. But by the time you get to that point, you're not really playing well anyway. But you get the idea. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do. But it all starts with just the approach, and don't be nervous. If you have a CD, you can let them listen to the CD. But the best is if they can just get to hear you, and then the next best is if they can get a recommendation from another bar or venue, whatever. So there's lots of places. Don't worry too much about it. The other one too is try not to get rich at it, because not try not to get rich, but don't expect to get rich out of it, because you might be able to get like a $600 gig like once every 3 months. But these things do exist. I've done it, stuff like that. So it is something that you can do professionally. But the other thing too is whether it's a $40 gig or a $400 gig, keep your commitment. That's the biggest thing. If you're a little under the weather, tough it out. Bring some cold medicine with you. If your voice isn't the best, go with an easier set list. Whatever it is, but make sure if you make a deal with somebody, if you make a promise to, or if you make a deal to play, you make sure you show up and you play. You deliver. You always have to deliver. The show always must go on. So that's the best tips I can get you for there. That said, just be creative. Don't discard any venue. You'd be surprised how many places I've walked into not expecting them to have live music there. And then you ask, oh yeah, we have live music all the time. and it's just like, just ask anywhere you go. You're just going to, sometimes you find some real nuggets there that are really good too. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Anyway, there we go. So anyway, make sure you hit that subscribe button, share button, like button. And if you have any other tips or tricks that you want to share with people, rising tide floats all boat, share down below. All right, anyway, be true to yourselves, be true to others, always do the right thing. Have yourselves a great day.